if I speak too intelligently, I can't apologize because my mother did not allow anything less. And this little girl from Union Avenue was very proud of her education and her ability to use the language. And I don't use it to offend, I use it to unite. I want to say though, one of the things that I think is critically important that is so visible, we're missing it. And I've lived through the transition from predominantly white to predominantly black to a school system that is now predominantly Hispanic. I've lived through all of those, okay? And I worked in the high school, and now I work in pre-K. I had children that came through the system. My daughter was in one of the first two-way language programs. And I'm having a real difficult time because our children get along and play and eat together and have cultural celebrations every day in our schools. And one of the things we need to figure out, Serge, is what happens when you leave a Mr. Curry and a Miss Jenkins in the elementary school and creates this very serious rift in the secondary schools. What happens? That's something that happens in our school. And it's also something that happens in poor schools, poor schooling environments. But I think we're missing the fact that our children, this is not a new problem for us. This is not for Hempstead. And we're using analogies and instances of newly integrated communities or soon to be integrated communities to try to tell our story. And that, I think, is what our problem is. How is it that my daughter's best friend all through school can be Hispanic, and when they get into the middle school, it's so polarizing that they're afraid to talk to each other? And the other thing I'd like to get some information on, because my nephew was killed by a black suspended truant kid. And the little boy that got stabbed on Hempstead High School grounds, Hispanic, was stabbed by a Hispanic man or person. So there's a lot of violence and fighting, but our kids are really directing it within cultural group. I'm not saying it doesn't spill over.
I have a question. What are you doing as a parent about the whole thing?
Shh, hold on. No. Hold on. Hey, no. We're gonna try now because I'm gonna let the sister go and then I'm gonna speak.
And then we're going to come back to our panel
My
and we'll
daughter
finish it.
thought she was Spanish. I mean, if you want to know what I did, my children think they are every culture. That's
My
what,
question, you as a parent.
I taught my children love, and my children, we didn't have, this is what I'm trying to understand. That's what I'm trying to understand. What are we not teaching them?
Sister. Wow.
So the reason I even raised my hand was part of what you were saying was how do we fix
Keep your voice up, please.
okay, how do we fix this? And part of the first thing that this gentleman said, let's utilize some sort of system. Food, exposure. I agree with what you were saying in this in terms of how is it that as little children they do not see race. But however, as we grow up, there's like so much media attention about it, and everything is polarizing. But have we thought about our own actions? There's a video on Facebook that talks about like if your child did exactly what you did, every single step along the way. When you're driving and you see whoever's driving next to you, and you say some sort of slur, they pick that up. It's the little things that we do that passes on into our children, that teaches them how to be, how to continue the racial line.
I'm going to come back this way. I know you got to hand up, but before things go one way or another, it's important that you don't allow your car to go off the road. And it's easy for all of us to have. This is a bubbling up from the inside conversation. This is the conversation that all of America says you cannot have. But the fact we are defying permissible. So I want to just encourage folks to, while we're going through this, to remember there's a lot of stuff that's going up that we can't even name in this, and we're not going to do it tonight. But unless we start someplace, unless you start the zipper someplace, it never gets closed up. It always stays open. You know what I'm talking about? So I just want to make sure we do that, because we can't go at hyperspeed. If we go at hyperspeed, we'll burn up. We'll burn up. So Tammy's had her hand up for a long time. They're going to come to the panel.
I just want to answer the question you asked a while ago. What can we do to make a change? I grew up in a small town in upstate New York, predominantly white. I went to the military, and before I married, I had no problem connecting. Connected in the military, there's many different cultures, and we did not allow ourselves to be separated because that we found a connection. Our connection was the military. I ended up marrying my husband, who is here, who is black. We found a connection. The way we raise our children, the way we speak to our children, the way we talk to our neighbors, the way I talk to our friends, my friends in this room, is because we have a connection. Long Island itself has a problem with connection.
Okay. Let's bring it back. Yes, Pat.
Just one thing. I don't want us to leave here without, because I think we're talking like we don't see race. Or we're not supposed to see race. I don't want that. Somebody says children don't see. Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
They see race, but they have to be taught hate. And by rights, we ought to see race.
Right.
By rights, and you ought to celebrate race. And different don't mean deficient. No. We ought to see race, but you have to be taught. And the other part is we have to face the reality that all of us, y'all can talk all this you want to talk tonight.
Okay, Pastor.
But all of us got some prejudices.
Oh, yes.
That we need to deal with, that we were taught
That's right. Look in the mirror.
in our own homes, and that you talk about even when you leave here tonight. And when your children bring home folk that don't look like you and don't eat your food, we got to be real about it. And we got to talk about what separates us, things that ought to be bringing us together. Hatred is taught. And when you see little kids pointing at little kids on the playground, talking about, oh, you black, I'm not supposed to play with you, or you are Spanish, or whatever, that's what they've heard at home. They do see race.
I was someone who grew up here, right? I grew up here, and one of the things that the question is always posed to me is, Serge, why is it that you were able to do these different things? Now, I'm blessed and I'm fortunate, and it took me quite some time to realize that there is a higher being, and that's why I've been fortunate enough to stand before you today, right? But I'm always told about this nurturing and welcoming environment, and yes, Jackson Annex and Jackson Maine truly was. It was loving. Even though Miss Jenkins didn't speak a word of Spanish, and my mother didn't speak a lick of English, those two women sat down, and Miss Jenkins treated her with love, had patience, was compassionate, and was involved in my life. Right? For 4 or 5 years, I stood with the same class. That class was unified. And it's true, but guess what? While I could recite to you everything about Black History Month, while I could sing the Black National Anthem, I didn't learn a single thing about who I was and my culture and my history. So when you start talking about certain things, some of us are deficient. Not incompetent, but we are deficient in that we haven't been given the tools and opportunities to really reach our maximum potential. And then what you do have is at the middle school, yes, you have the ignorant of time. You have individuals, and what's worse is that there are people that we went to school with that say, oh no, that didn't exist. That never happened. There was this thing called, and I've said this before, and I want everybody to hear this. There was this thing called Puerto Rican Day. There weren't many Puerto Ricans in Hempstead High School by then, in Hempstead Middle School. Based on my skin complexion, a lot of the black kids would get together and jump the quote-unquote Puerto Ricans. Now, there are people that I went to school and said, that never happened. We get along. You stupid. It's still happening now, right? But what happens is, first off, you know, and there's so many layers, right? There are so many layers in this stuff. So I'm gonna tell you first, if you want to talk criminal justice, we can talk that. 90% of the homicides that happen occur within the same racial category. So black people kill black people, brown people kill brown people, and white people kill white people. On top of that, 80-90% of the time, you will know the person that killed you, right? So when Sis Val is talking about all this violence that's happening, the majority of kids that she's putting pictures up about have been killed by folks that look just like them. The dialogue, where we were coming from, was let's start talking about this. This hasn't happened. And there's people, oh, that'll never happen. Nah. Let me tell you something. The most ignorant, you could be the smartest person in the room. But if you're the one that's not here to learn or pick something up and say, you know what, let's try it again. Yeah, maybe you weren't good at what you did. You ever think about that? I did that 40 years ago. Clearly you weren't that good. You know what I mean? You may have, well, let's take some of the good things that may have come out of that. Let's build together. Let's try it again. And that's sort of what this was about. This was about the beginning of a dialogue. And we started with that. Unfortunately,